let's get to 16 through 13.
Okay, so 16 is where I have Kirk Cousins. I'm putting him dead in the middle. That's what I love to do. I love to put guys that I think are average right in the middle. Dak Prescott comes in at 15. Kyler Murray will check in at 14 for me. And Cam Newton makes the cut at 13. So we got a couple mobile guys and a couple guys we've already talked about.
Awesome. Okay, my 16 through 13. So I have 16, Daniel Jones. Actually, no, that was Joe Burrow was 17. Joe Burrow was 17 for me. Daniel Jones is 16, so I made a mistake there. 15, Matthew Stafford. 14, Cam Newton, and 13, Ben Roethlisberger. So what's the first thing you want to touch on here?
Yeah, I think both of us have Cam Newton properly ranked. I think let's start there because, people get hung up on like, oh, Cam Newton hasn't been healthy in 2 years. Oh, he's never going to regain that same form. But, it's really been a year and a half that he's missed action with the shoulder and foot injury issues. But during that 2018 season, he was having one of his best years to date. He was throwing the ball accurately. And he was really leading the Panthers to a solid season, nothing spectacular, but solid. I think in New England with Josh McDaniels, if he can stay healthy, he could maybe not regain MVP form, but go back to that, really above average starter level and scrambling ability that, was once tantalizing to people, but people just seem to forget how good he is just because he missed most of last season and the Panthers were terrible. So I think Newton is being underrated in most circles, but at this point in time, he's like right on the fringe of being a top 12 quarterback for me.
Yeah, same for me. He's 14. I agree with everything you said. I'm curious to see how he does this year. I hope he can stay healthy because he's great. He's fun to watch when he is. So like I said, Daniel Jones 16, Burrow 17. I don't know if you want to touch on Burrow a little bit more, but yeah, I think this is probably a little bit too high, in all honesty. But then I think about it, and then I'm like, I'd rather have Burrow this year than Bridgewater. I'd rather have Burrow than Prescott. I'd rather have Burrow than Mayfield. I'd rather have Burrow than Garoppolo and Cousins and Goff. And that's how I came to have Burrow at 17. I'm just very high on him. So I don't know. I guess we'll see what happens with him, but I'm pretty high on him because of his, like I said, his accuracy and mobility. So I had Stafford 15. I would have Stafford a lot higher than this if I was confident in his back. That's so scary to me because I could see a scenario where he just pulls an Andrew Luck and retires just because his back is bad. And also his wife is a cancer survivor. So, he may not opt to play this year. Like I feel like of all the starting quarterbacks, I think he's most likely to opt out. So I think that's why I have Stafford, so low. If Stafford were healthy right now, he would definitely be in the top 10 for me.
Yeah, and Stafford is much higher for me just because I'm projecting as if he will be healthy. I'm doing the same with Ben Roethlisberger. Either of those things could change if, reports come out of camp that, oh, Big Ben is not throwing the ball well, or, oh, Stafford's not moving well, or he might opt out. Something like that happens, then I probably would move them down. But I can totally see Stafford at 15. I think over the course of the past decade, he's been one of the more underrated quarterbacks in the NFL. People just kind of, for a while, just forgot about him because the Lions were so bad outside of him and Calvin Johnson. But he put up great statistical numbers. He led the Lions to the playoffs on occasion. So I think he's just a rock solid starter. And, he's a good team leader too. I'll always remember one play from his rookie season. They were playing the Browns in like a game of like 1-10 versus 1-10 teams. And it was like 37-30, I think. And then Stafford and the Lions threw a touchdown. He broke his collarbone on the play. And then he came back in the game to throw the 2-point conversion. And that was the moment that I knew, like, all right, Matthew Stafford is one tough dude. So I have confidence that he'll be able to make it back from this back injury. I know you have way more experience with having, back issues and stuff. But I think Stafford will be able to push through and have a good season. So I have him slightly higher than you, but the concerns that you have are totally warranted.
I'm pretty concerned about that. And thanks to Duke for asking that question and the great feedback there. I'm listing these quarterbacks with some concerns, like some trepidation. Ben Roethlisberger, we don't know if he's going to be healthy. Like today, I believe he said that his elbow felt good, but he's kind of on a pitch count right now, so he may not be 100%. He's always had trouble with injuries anyway, so we don't know if he's going to stay healthy. Same thing with Stafford. Like, I love that. I love that game, by the way. I remember that. But it's one of many occasions in which Stafford's been injured. So I think that, these quarterbacks definitely have their downsides, but they could definitely be in the top 10 when we discuss this next year. Kyler Murray is the last of the quarterbacks we haven't discussed in this range. You have him 14. I have him a little bit higher. And I guess we're both bullish on him because we have him in the top half. I love his upside. I think he's going to be a lot better this year, especially with Hopkins. And then, they added Beachum, unfortunately, today with Marcus Gilbert opting out. But I think if the protection holds up, I think he could be very good this year, especially with his new receiving core.
Yeah, I agree. I think the talent surrounding him is fantastic. And Murray's skill into that of Russell Wilson. I'll admit, I was late on the Murray bandwagon during the NFL draft. So I was like, I just don't see it with him. But then, he became the number 1 overall pick favorite, and I went back and watched it. I'm like, okay, I do see it. I do see the Russell Wilson with him. So I'm a massive fan of Russell Wilson, as are you. I know that for a fact. I think that Kyler will make the leap. I think having Hopkins at his disposal is huge. And I just think he fits the offense that Kingsbury wants to run very well. So I think he's going to have a really great season. I didn't want to rank him any higher than 14. I felt like putting him higher than that would be kind of premature. But he did have a great season last year and was Rookie of the Year, I believe. So I think the ultimate guy who's going to be better than the average quarterbacks this year and may ultimately leap into the top 10. But even if he doesn't, I don't see him being anything worse than a top 15 guy. So that's why I have him at 14, but I could totally understand people being higher on him. And conversely, I could understand why people might be lower on him if they thought last year was a bit of a fluke and that he may endure a sophomore slump.
Yeah, I agree. And I will say, though, that if I wasn't concerned about Stafford's health, and Ben's health, Murray would probably be in this range for me. All right.